My Weird School. Fast Facts. Geography. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 5. Mountains, Deserts, and Forests. Mountains. Why do we have mountains? Because if we didn't, mountain climbing would be really boring. Actually, Arlo, one of the ways mountains were created was by those moving tectonic plates in the earth that we talked about earlier. When two plates carrying land masses push against each other, crash, bang, boom, a mountain range is born. For example, the Ural Mountains in Russia mark the spot where Europe and Asia crashed into each other. But the biggest, most dramatic head-on collision of two plates happened when India crashed into Asia and created the world's tallest mountain range, the Himalayas. I know the tallest peak in the Himalayas, Mount Everest. It's a whopping 24,035 feet above sea level, and it's still growing. The tectonic plates are still moving, and some scientists say Everest grows as much as 2.4 inches every year. Other scientists say it's just growing about 4 millimeters a year, less than a quarter of an inch. I say those scientists should make up their minds. George Mallory from England was one of many mountain climbers who wanted to be the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest. When reporters asked him why he wanted to do it, he replied, "Because it's there. That guy was cool." Unfortunately, he never made it. George Mallory died 800 feet from the top of Mount Everest in 1924. He was just 37. Everest wasn't conquered until 29 years later by Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Mount Everest is the highest mountain, but it's not the tallest mountain. Huh? Some mountains are underwater. The tallest mountain on Earth is Mauna Kea, a volcano on the island of Hawaii. The base of Mauna Kea is at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, so the summit only rises 13,796 feet above sea level. But Mauna Kea is 33,000 feet tall, much higher than Mount Everest. I wonder if Mount Everest is jealous. Do you know how an underwater mountain gets formed? Sometimes those tectonic plates carrying the ocean floor move away from each other, and the hot, bubbling, molten magma from under the Earth's crust bubbles up and makes huge underwater mountains. You probably don't want to go mountain climbing on an underwater mountain. Falling off the mountain wouldn't be much of a risk, but you might drown. Many mountain climbers make it their goal to climb the 7 summits, the highest points on each of the 7 continents. The youngest person ever to climb the 7 summits was Jordan Romero from California. He was just 9 when he reached the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and 13 when he climbed Mount Everest. Scientists believe that over millions of years, the mountains we see today will fade away. They'll sink under their own weight, and rock will be worn away by rain, wind, and snow. If Earth's crust stops moving and the mountains disappear, it will be sad, especially for snowboarders and skiers. In 2005, scientists discovered a mountain in Mozambique, Africa, that most of the world didn't know existed. Mount Mabu. They didn't go to Africa to find it. They found it on Google Earth. So maybe there are more mountains out there waiting to be discovered. Maybe you will be the person to discover one. Deserts. 1/3 of the land on Earth is a desert. and every one of the 7 continents has at least one of them. Do you know the difference between a desert and a dessert? A desert is any place that gets less than 10 inches of rain or snow a year. A dessert is a tasty treat you have at the end of a meal. If I had the choice between being stranded in a desert or stranded in a dessert, I would definitely choose the dessert. At least you get something to eat. The biggest desert in the world is the Sahara in North Africa, right? Wrong! According to the definition of a desert, the largest one in the world is in Antarctica. I'll bet your parents don't know that. The Sahara is the biggest subtropical desert. It stretches across 11 countries, but it's not the sandy desert you're thinking of. It's only 30% sand. The rest is rocky and mountainous. The Arabian Desert on the Arabian Peninsula is the world's largest sand desert. There's another desert on the Arabian Peninsula called the Empty Quarter that is nothing but sand dunes. It's about the size of France. The Gobi Desert in China and Mongolia and the Patagonian Desert in Argentina are called winter deserts. In the Gobi, the temperature can get as hot as 113 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and as low as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit at night. So if you go there, bring lots of sunscreen and your winter coat. The reason why some deserts get so little rain is because of the rain shadow effect. When a mountain range stops moisture from reaching an area, the land is in the mountain's rain shadow. For example, the Himalayan mountains are right next to the Gobi Desert, and they prevent rainfall from reaching it. So one side of the Himalayas gets up to 600 inches of rain a year, and the other side gets less than 10 inches a year. The air is so dry in subtropical deserts that rain can evaporate before it even reaches the ground. Most animals can't survive in these hot, dry deserts, but camels, snakes, and scorpions can. None of them need much water, and they're more active at night when it's cooler. Snakes have scaly skins that stop them from drying out, and they can go a long time without food. Desert plants have leaves that hold on to moisture. Did you ever hear of Death Valley? It's between the Great Basin and Mojave Desert in California and Nevada. Death Valley is one of the hottest, driest places on Earth because it's in the rain shadow of 2 mountain ranges, the Pacific Coastal and the Sierra Nevada ranges. Badwater Basin in Death Valley is the lowest point in North America, 282 feet below sea level. The hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth was in Death Valley's Furnace Creek on July 10th, 1913. It was 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Ouch! I'll never complain about the heat again. No wonder they named it Death Valley. The average temperature in Death Valley in July is 116 degrees Fahrenheit. People actually go there on vacation. Nobody knows why. But Death Valley isn't the driest place on Earth. That honor goes to the Atacama Desert in South America. It gets just 1 millimeter of rain every year. In fact, there are parts of the Atacama where not 1 drop of rain has ever been recorded. It is so much like another world that NASA went there to test the Mars rover. Forests and trees. Trees can breathe. They're like the Earth's giant air conditioners because the trees take carbon dioxide and other pollutants out of the atmosphere and turn them into oxygen. One tree can absorb almost 50 pounds of carbon dioxide in a year, so in its lifetime that tree will suck up as much CO2 as an average car would produce if it was driven around the world. Trees are old. The world's oldest tree is a bristlecone pine tree in the White Mountains in California. It's 5,063 years old. I would tell you exactly where it is, but the locations of the world's tallest and oldest trees are kept secret. Otherwise, tourists might damage them looking for souvenirs to bring home. There's a colony of quaking aspen trees in Utah with a root system called a pando that is 80,000 years old. It's the oldest living organism on the planet. And because these trees are connected by a single massive root system, it is also the world's heaviest known organism, at 6,600 tons. They say everything is bigger in Texas, but the boreal forest in Russia covers an area that is more than 17 times the size of Texas. Wow! Paper is made from trees, of course. So is furniture and anything made from wood. In fact, more than 5,000 things are manufactured from trees. Trees are tall. The redwood trees in Northern California can grow more than 350 feet tall. That's about the average size of a skyscraper. Did you know that aspirin was originally developed from willow bark? Actually, we get lots of good stuff from trees. In fact, more than 25% of the medicines we use come from rainforest plants. Trees are dangerous. The bark of the manchineel tree is covered in sap that can make you go blind if it gets in your eyes. Just standing under it will cause blisters on your skin if the sap drips on you. And if you eat the fruit of this tree, you could die. Eek! It's found in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Every Chinese citizen over 11 years old has to plant at least 3 trees every year. There's a hotel in Sweden called the Tree Hotel that has all its rooms up in the trees.